Okay, good afternoon. Getting ready here. I'm Julie Barrows, and I'm a supervisory chemist in FDA's Office of Cosmetics and Colors. I will be talking to you about the color additives used in food. First, I'll give you the definition of a color additive. Next, I'll discuss the specific color additives permitted in food. After that, I'll tell you how to find out which color additives are in your foods, and I'll then describe how FDA enforces the requirements for color additives. I'll provide some regulatory information, including FDA's pre-approval process for color additives, and finally, I'll provide some resources for more information. Let's find out what color additives are and how they are regulated. Under the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, a color additive is any material that can impart color to a food, drug, cosmetic, or medical device. Food includes both human and animal food. FDA has regulatory responsibilities for all of these products when they are marketed in the U.S., and FDA must pre-approve the color additives used in FDA-regulated products. Color additives are divided into different categories. Some of them are water-soluble dyes. Others are extracts, spices, and mineral compounds. Lakes are a type of insoluble pigment formed by chemically reacting water-soluble dyes with precipitants and substrata. Mixtures are color additives combined with other components by simple mixing. We can take this quiz. Why use food coloring? Please use your chat box, and I will. Now that you've thought about this, you may realize that people associate certain colors with certain flavors. Although most consumers are aware that foods with bright or unnatural colors usually contain food coloring, far fewer people know that oranges and salmon also may contain color additives for enhancing or masking their natural variations. Seasonal changes and the effects of processing and storage often make it commercially advantageous to maintain the colors expected or preferred by the consumer. FDA does not consider any color additives to be natural because all color additives are artificially added to foods. However, food ingredients that contribute their own natural colors are not color additives. Examples are strawberries, green or red peppers, and chocolate. Color additives must be petitioned for FDA approval, and this is usually done by product or color additive manufacturers. FDA lists approved color additives in the Code of Federal Regulations. Color additives are listed for their specific uses, such as in food. FDA considers their probable exposure from use, their cumulative effect in the diet, their safety is evaluated by qualified experts, and the availability of analytical methods to assure their purity. The FD&C color additives are synthetic organic dyes and pigments. In this context, synthetic means man-made, and organic means made of carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, and sulfur. In other words, organic here does not mean the term used by the USDA for organic products. The FD&C color additives are required to be batch certified by FDA. This means FDA analyzes a sample from each new batch in order to assure conformity to the color additive's purity requirements, including strict limitations for lead, arsenic, and mercury. An important characteristic of these color additives is that not much is needed to achieve the desired coloring in a product. These are the common names for the FD&C color additives. Some of you may recognize the dye names. Non-FD&C color additives are generally derived from plant or mineral sources, with the exception of one insect source. They may be synthesized or chemically processed. These color additives are not required to be batch certified, but they still must conform to purity requirements, including, again, strict limitations for lead, arsenic, and mercury. In some cases, relatively large amounts of these color additives may be needed to achieve the desired coloring. Here are some examples of the non-FD&C color additives permitted in foods. Cochineal extract and carmine are the ones that are obtained from an insect. FDA lists the permitted color additives in Title 21 of the Code of Federal Regulations, or CFR. The ones in Part 73 are the non-FD&C color additives. The ones in Part 74 are the FD&C color additives. The ones in Part 82 are the FD&C color additive lakes. Most other color additive requirements are in Parts 70, 71, 80, and 81. Now I'd like you to respond to this question. How many color additives are permitted in foods marketed in the U.S.? You can choose A, B, or C. Some of you are good estimators. The actual answer is 50, approximately. Good. Good for you. Now I'm going to tell you how to find out which color additives are in the foods you eat. Artificial coloring is required to be declared on all food labels. The FD&C color additives must be declared by their listed names, such as FD&C Red Number 40, or by appropriate abbreviations, such as Yellow 5 Lake. Alternative names may be declared in parentheses, such as the European E numbers or color index numbers. The non-FD&C color additives may be declared as artificial color or color additive or by their listed names. In all cases, consumers must be informed that artificial color has been added to the product. Now, I said all color additive. There is one exception. There are also some specific requirements for declaring color additives on food labels. There is one exception, which is for butter, cheese, and ice cream. And in general, color additives do not have to be declared on those labels. However, cochineal extract, carmine, and FD&C Yellow Number 5 are specifically required to be declared on all food labels because they are possible allergens or sensitizers. I'm going to talk about how FDA enforces the color additive requirements. FDA's enforcement actions are authorized by the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act and other applicable laws. They contain adulteration and misbranding provisions that apply to both domestic and imported products. Adulteration means a product is somehow unsafe. Misbranding means a product has not been labeled properly. Imported products only need to have the appearance of a violation in order for FDA to stop them from being marketed in the U.S., whereas domestic products need more evidence in order for FDA to take action. Here are some common color additive violations. The use of uncertified material always makes a product adulterated. Certified color additives must be properly declared on product labels by their listed names. Of course, non-permitted color additives may not be used in any products. Sometimes we find out in inspections that a color additive is declared on an ingredient label but not on the finished product label. This is just a misbranding violation, except when cochineal extract, carmine, or FD&C Yellow Number 5 are not declared. Here are some non-permitted color additives that are permitted in food in other countries. Often this is because FDA has not been requested to list them by the color additive petition process. For example, anthocyanins are components of fruit juice and grape extracts, but FDA hasn't been asked to list anthocyanins separately. Curcumin is a component of turmeric, but FDA hasn't listed curcumin separately either. Vegetable carbon is permitted in food in the EU, whereas FDA has listed D&C Black Number 2, which is similar to vegetable carbon, for use in coloring cosmetics. These are FDA's enforcement tools. FDA has many ways of letting domestic firms know that their products are not in compliance with FDA's requirements. The agency has fewer tools for imported products, but one important one is to place products on import alerts, which means future products from a specific firm will always get FDA's attention. In summary, only approved and listed color additives may be used in FDA-regulated products marketed in the U.S. All color additives must comply with the requirements in their listing regulations, including purity requirements. Color additives must be used appropriately, and manufacturers must consult the listing regulations in order to do this. Certified material must be used in products when required. If you want to learn more about color additives, you can look on FDA's website. The summary of color additives is particularly useful. I hope you found this presentation to be informative and helpful. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Dr. Barrows. We have time for questions, and I see there is a question that has been asked of you during your presentation. There's at least one. They're coming in. Caramel color is a natural source, yet not considered natural. Please explain why FDA does not consider any colors natural.
Well, the reason that now caramel is, you might think natural, but it actually has been processed because it's cooked sugar, and whenever something is added to a product that otherwise would not be there, it's added on for the purpose of coloring the product, then we consider it to be an artificial color. So caramel is listed as a color additive, and it has to be declared as a color additive on products.
Thank you. There's another question. Can you explain the exemption, or I think that's exemption of butter, cheese, and ice cream? Does this mean that color additives may be present but not listed?
Yes, I think that's true. You have to look in 21 CFR 101.22K, which is the regulation. I'll say it again, 21 CFR 101.22K, and it will say that butter, cheese, and ice cream are not required to have the color additives declared on their labeling, except when this is specifically required by regulation. And the exceptions for the butter, cheese, and ice cream are carmine and cochineal extract and FD&C yellow number 5.
All right, thank you. I believe the third question is a repeat of the second question. Let's scroll down and see if there's one more. Otherwise, oh yeah, there are several others. Why does FDA require formal petition for natural colors such as anthocyanins?
Oh, well, FDA requires formal petitions so that we can investigate the safety of a color additive and so that we can list it appropriately. We don't know anything about a color additive unless it's gone through the petition process. And because we consider these things to be artificially added to food, we don't consider them to be necessary in a food. So therefore, they have to go through our safety evaluation.
Okay. This next statement, it looks like a statement rather than a question, but it ends with a question mark. And perhaps you know about this question. So it says E numbers are permitted in parentheses behind the color.
Behind the name, yes. Behind the
color
listed
name. Yeah. Okay.
And this is another case where you can look in 21 CFR 101.22K, paragraph K, so you can find out a little bit more about other alternative names for color additives.
Another one is, I recently read that many cosmetics, such as lipsticks, have contain lead. I know this is not a color, but where can I find more information about this?
Well, this is a little beyond the scope of this talk, but there is information on FDA's website about the levels of lead that FDA has recently found in lipsticks. Lead is not ever used. It's true that lead is never used as a color additive in any products, any FDA regulated products. And FDA has gone to a lot of trouble to try to remove any residual lead in products. But it's unfortunately still in the environment. And so a small amount of lead will be found in products.
We have time for a couple more. Anyway, color additives for salmon. Is there a requirement for the maximum or minimum amount that are added or fed to the fish?
I don't know the answer to that question, but you can find it in our regulations in 21 CFR Part 73. I don't actually believe there is a limit, but I forgot.
Okay.
Sorry.
And what about something like beet juice extract or concentrated beet juice, which is a natural product? Is even something like that considered an artificial, just considered an additive?
Well, that's considered an artificial color additive when it is added to something like lemonade, which I think is one place where pink lemonade is colored with beet juice sometimes. The name beet juice is not required to be declared on the label. The only thing that's required to be declared on the label is artificial color or artificial color added.
Will anything more come from FDA regarding inquiry into safety of color additives?
The certification process is a way to enforce the safety of color additives. So any color additives that are required to be certified, this is done on a batch basis. So every new batch of color additive, a sample is required to be sent to the FDA and we analyze it. And this is a way that we monitor the color additives and make sure that they continue to be safe.
Okay. And this is going to be our last question. Is there a replacement for the insects used for red coloring in kosher foods?
There are other listed red colors, and one of them is FD&C red number 40, which is an FD&C color additive, which I assume I don't otherwise know the answer to that question.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Barrows.